We be out here trying to get that V-taper. Yo, I can't sing, but you know, we all about the V-taper. Hey guys, what is going on? It's your boy Julian here from Jawline Theory. Just wanted to create a little video on how we can all improve our V-taper, right? V-taper is probably one of the most important things, especially for us guys who want to be aesthetically pleasing and all that kind of stuff. So let's get into it here. Many of us happen to be fans of the men's physique division. Shout out to you guys who've been commenting on my video and subscribing to the channel. You guys are showing me a lot of love, but I wanted to go over some key points here on how we can improve our aesthetics. The first one being on focus on the lats. So one of the things that really creates that wide V tapered look is the width of the lats, right? We want to get that nice sort of Dorito look. And so one of the things you can do is start doing some wide grip pull-ups and chin-ups. Great exercise. Now, the second tip I could recommend to really improve that V tapered look is start doing lateral raises. This is really important. You're going to have that nice rounded shoulder, especially in the medial delts. This will help give you that extra width when you are standing to the front or to the back. Third tip here, keep your waistline tight. You want to start doing vacuums. You don't have to do them every day, but you can do these about 3 or 4 times a week. If you look at current champ in the O division, Samson Dauda, yes, he's now 4th. That's one of the things he had improved and implemented in his training this year. He came in with a much tighter waist and he attributed it to doing vacuums, all right? Also, Mike Summerfield from the classic division, he swears by it and he says this is how he maintains that super tiny waist, all right? Something that us in the men's physique realm could definitely use in our own program. Now, number 4, I'm going to go ahead and say start doing deadlifts. Now, the thing is there's a caveat to this, so stick around. So when you're doing deadlifts, you're going to add a lot of thickness to your posterior chain, the middle of your back, your spinal erectors, which is all good. Over the years, however, I've limited my deadlifting to sort of like the upper portion of the movement, and you see a lot of guys like Dre Ferguson, Aaron Banks doing this as well. They don't go all the way to the ground. They're not deadlifting off the ground all the way up. They're doing it racked. So they find a nice squat rack and they make sure that when they grab the bar, they're grabbing it just below the length of the knee, and they're coming all the way up and then back down, all right? So this does a few things. It saves your lower back, especially as you age, you get a little older, you have some mobility problems. The lower back tends to get a little sensitive, so I recommend doing it that way. The second thing is that it focuses less on the glutes and more on your upper back. So give that a shot. All right, so another thing that's gonna improve your V-taper, start doing rows. Underhand, overhand, wide grip, close grip, it doesn't matter. Start rowing to add that back thickness. It's that simple. All right, so the next up is one of the most neglected body parts I've noticed with a lot of guys, especially at the gym. They just completely forget about the posterior chain. You know, we have a bunch of muscles back here. I'm talking about the rear delts, all right? Posterior delts. Start doing them, start implementing religiously into your program. It's a super tiny muscle, but it adds so much, especially when you're to the side and you got that nice bump here. This looks stellar when people look at you from the back, especially if you're wearing a nice tight shirt. They just see these sort of lumps and crevices on your back. Add the posterior exercises, whether it's cable, dumbbells, and you can even do it with barbells, but I'll get into it another time, but just start implementing it in your program. Okay, so another tip for enhancing that aesthetic look is to avoid thickening your waist. Now, a few things can contribute to that. Doing excessive heavy side bends, whether you're doing that with a weighted dumbbell or even a plate, you want to focus a little more on doing those exercises, but perhaps keeping the reps a little higher and not overload those obliques, because that will thicken up your waist. Another thing I would recommend is avoid doing deep squats, especially freestanding squats, especially for the taller guys. The guys who are 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet, 6'1", we tend to bend forward, and that puts a lot of strain on our waist as the core has to support that weight, right? And so what happens is that as you go deeper, you're soliciting a lot of those side muscles, a lot of those obliques, and in the end, it will thicken up your waist. If you can, try to start incorporating some more Smith machine into your workout, especially if you're doing squats. And if you want to go heavy with squats, 3, 4, 5 plates, maybe limit the range of motion. I've always found that when I went past parallel, it started to activate a lot of those core muscles, and then my waist just blew out and it didn't look really good. So there's a tip for you. All right, so here's another tip for keeping the waist nice and trim. Start doing hanging leg raises. The only thing I'd recommend is not to cheat. Avoid swinging your legs up like this. Really try to solicit the lower abs, which will in turn lift up your legs. Do it under control. If you get to maybe 5 or 6 when you're first starting, that's fine. Work your way up to sets of 10 to 15. This is a nice way of keeping the waistline nice and streamlined. You see a lot of guys tend to neglect their lower abs, so this is a great way of targeting them without making them overtly thick. All right, so you have a few more tips that I haven't covered here. Please leave them in the comments down below so that we can all learn from one another. That's the kind of community we're going for here. Nonetheless, if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel, give the video a like, and hit that bell notification button. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.